Hi everyone, my name is Sarah Itkin, psychic medium, angel channel, and intuitive coach. And I am doing a series on releasing fear with the angels. And so I'm going to share stories with you, personal stories. And so I hope you listen and like it. So in my experience, I've shared this a few times, but I really had to shift the way I viewed life and how my life was going to turn out. So I planned on becoming a social worker and staying and living in my hometown and getting married and having a house and kids and just that, having that be my life. And then when I came into my gifts, I didn't discover them until about 5 or 6 years ago, and my whole life completely changed, and I left the conventional life, the life that, you know, felt safe and predictable. I left that behind, and when I did that to begin this journey that I'm on right now of having my own business and doing this for my career and having to just really tap into faith and work on surrendering, I really had to go through a lot of ups and downs in terms of just trusting and believing and releasing my fear. And I feel like what's helped me so much is just, you know, really having that connection with the angels, and by having actual physical signs from the angels that are showing me they're around when I'm, you know, least expecting it. And I just want to really make everyone understand that this is not just, you know, these are not just experiences that can happen to me just because I'm psychic and I'm a medium and I'm able to communicate with the angels. It can happen to anybody. So that's why I'm sharing this message with you. So the angels will show themselves in various ways. And sometimes when you're just feeling really open and trusting, the most miraculous things can happen. And what happened to me was I was in my room a few years ago and I heard a clicking sound, and I looked up and an angel feather came down from the ceiling. And it was not a feather that would be in a down coat or, you know, I don't know, something that you'd buy in a store. It just literally fell down from my ceiling. And I, of course, was just really excited about it. I knew that the angels will show that they're around through dropping angel feathers. That's one of the ways that they show that they're around. And so I knew, you know, that I was really blessed and I was really happy. And then eventually I ended up losing my feather. I moved out to Colorado and it got lost. So I asked the angels to send me another feather, and about a few weeks later, I'm going to show this to you. I forgot this is, okay. See this? It's kind of hard to tell. I put it up against this blue background so you can see. It's an angel feather that I was in a bar and I was standing next to a man who was wearing a leather coat, and when he took his coat off, the angel feather basically flew, oh, that's easier to see it this way, flew right into my hands. And if you could see, this is not a feather that would be coming from a bird. The fibers are really soft, and so I knew immediately what it was and felt, you know, super blessed to have that, and I keep it with me as a reminder when I start to freak out about life. So I don't know about you guys, but I feel that fear comes in waves, and I know I get triggered, and usually the trigger is about money and trusting, since I'm not getting that steady paycheck. And recently I was really scared because I had to reapply for insurance, and I was so triggered because I was worried about if I was going to have to spend a lot of money on a premium and co-pays. And it's just funny how when I get into these fearful places, trusting that the angels are with me, it all flies out the window, even though I've been doing this for so long. So I kind of think about it as the story, I don't know if you guys I mean, Jewish people know this story. I'm Jewish, but for those of you that are familiar with the story of the Exodus, and when Moses and the Jews left Egypt after they were enslaved for hundreds of years, they finally left Egypt. At first, the Jews were terrified, and they even wanted to go back to becoming slaves because that's what they knew. That was all they knew, and it was something that they could rely upon, that every day at least they would get some sort of their basic needs met. But of course, I mean, they were oppressed. But when they were freaking out and in a place of fear, they forgot how miserable their lives were before. But then God would send them a sign. So I think one of the signs I remember is the manna, the bread that came from the sky. And then once the Jews received the manna, they rejoiced and they felt happy and safe. But then, a few days later, they would start to freak out again. And so I feel that happens a lot to me. And I wonder if that happens to you. So thankfully, just being able to connect with the angels and asking them for signs when I am really scared has helped me so much. It's really helped me surrender. So another really common sign that the angels will show us that most of us aren't aware of is that they will show us repetitive numbers. And so a lot of people notice, they look at the clock and it's 11:11, and that number, so angel numbers can actually be translated into meaning. So there's this great website called Joanne's Sacred Scribes, and each number has a special meaning, and I think it just feels like an easy way for the angels to get our attention, since not everybody can actually hear what they're saying. So I started to see the number 69, and all the time. I was driving to work, I was seeing it on license plates several times a day. I would park in front of a house that the address was 69. I would buy something that would be $1.69. It was showing up everywhere. And luckily I knew that this was a sign coming from the angels, and it meant letting go of the old, letting go of old patterns and embracing the new. And at that time, I was just so ready to be done as a therapist. I found working for agencies to be really challenging. That was what I was doing, and that was the only way I thought I could make a living. And I started to see 69s, and at that point in time, I was, starting to study and expand my psychic abilities. And thankfully, again, I was aware of what the meaning was, and I knew that my life was going to change. And by seeing those numbers, it really helped me feel safe and loved, and that, my life actually was shifting. I wasn't just making it up. So another number that I started to see after the 69 was 777. And 777 means that miracles will happen in your life. And at that point, I was a little bit further on in my career and really just absolutely even more miserable than I was before. And I really felt that I was doing my life's work when I was giving people readings rather than just sitting as a therapist in an office. I felt like this was what I meant to do, but how on earth am I going to do this? People don't, the stories, people don't make money doing this. It's completely off the beaten path. And so when I started to see the 777s as I'd be driving home miserable from a day of work, just being like, when am I going to be done with this? And then I just knew miracles, that again, the number means miracles will happen. And I would see them really every time I started to get scared. And I feel that, again, a lot of people will also see repetitive numbers, but just not be aware. When I give readings, the angels will show me ways in which they're trying to connect with my client. And I'll ask, have you seen, the same number over and over again? And a lot of times people at first will say no, but then they'll think about it and they'll be like, oh yeah, I do, wake up every night at 2:22 in the morning. Or I have noticed at work that I'll see the same number on the computer when I'm looking at the computer clock or just whatever. So once they have that awareness, I think that brings them a lot of feelings of comfort and joy. So I hope, again, that this message will bring you comfort. And I think that if you're not seeing some of these signs, don't worry about it. Just if angels resonate for you, or, spirit is another word that, people feel maybe more comfortable with. If angels themselves don't feel like they particularly resonate, there's, the universe, higher power, whatever. It's all the same thing. So you can ask, just be like, okay, I would love to become more aware of your presence. Please show me some, angel numbers, show me some numbers, show me some signs, maybe, ask for an angel feather. And I think that if we all had this awareness, then there would be a really big shift, and we would, just feel safe. I think for me, I kind of wrestle with this shift. It's a shift in paradigm between just the physical experience, again, pretty much 9 to 5, you get your paycheck, you go home, you pay your bills, then you go to work again, you get your paycheck. So we rely so much on the physical. But what I've learned is that to surrender, when you surrender, then, miracles happen. I was able to leave my career, and I'm doing my intuitive healing work full time. And it's just kind of like balancing just I guess, how difficult it is to trust, and to trust at all times. I think that's one of the most challenging, if not the most challenging, aspects of being a human being. So that is my story for today. If anybody's watching, if you want like a 5-minute reading, or if you would like to just ask me a question, you can. And otherwise, I will see you guys next time. And if you like this video, if you find it to be interesting, and you think any of your friends or family would be interested, or if they would be interested in a free 5-minute reading next time I do a live video, you can share it on your page. And you can find me on Facebook at Sarah Itkin Intuitive Healer. And I hope that you're having a wonderful day. Thank you.